Terraria's got like 3 or definitely more than 3 weapons, and despite playing the game for years, I'm sorry to report that I'm not a Hambat fan. So, let's do this. Now, playing the game for so long, I have used most of the weapons in the game. Not all, but most. So what I'll be doing is only using weapons that I've never used, haven't used in a long time, or haven't used since they've gotten a major rework. The first thing I did was throw away my copper short sword, very commonly used, so bye-bye. I then chopped a couple trees, you know, you get it. Normal early game stuff. Ooh, grapefruit. First chest, and into the cave I go. Never mind. I needed some torches, so I accidentally killed the slime to get some, and into the cave I go. Spear, which I can't use, and a couple. At least we got an achievement. If you're wondering why I'm getting achievements, I'm not playing on my regular account. Anyways, let's cut to the interesting stuff. Like this epic rope bridging and this epic accidental bombing of this slime. Hey, look, some life in silver. Then something beautiful happened. After disarming this chest, I got the Hermes boots from my first chest. Still can't attack anything though, so I was having to box myself up a lot because blocks are OP. Annoying bat, blocks. Another bat, blocks. Skeleton giving chase, blocks. I think you get it. Ooh, minecart. Okay, it kinda. Back on the track, and there just really wasn't any immediate houses or anything, but there was a second one, so I hopped on, which is when something incredible happened. 20 minutes into the run, and I've already got a usable weapon, the chain knife, and it was godly. Needless to say, I was very happy to have a weapon because this track sucked too, so that would have made me sad. Does the chain knife kind of suck? Yeah. Was I knocked into an underground lake and shot? Yeah, sure. I was now exposed to the night, but the chain knife was good enough. And in the deep dark night, I found a tree with a bunch of crap I can't use, and it had some vultures nearby. Wait, didn't I say we'd be skipping to the interesting stuff? My bad. The jungle. Except honestly, nothing too interesting happened here, just some feral claws and these sick dodges. Okay, now this playthrough has been a mess, so it was time to make some serious progress. It was time to get a real weapon. So over the mountain and through the valley. Why are you in an ice cave? Stop! Well, while I was here, I got some ice skates, an ice mirror, a slime statue, and some flurry boots. My hope, I think, was to get a blizzard in a bottle, but I didn't. Now, originally, I was going to the side of the world to reach the corruption, and luckily, I did find the corruption while I was down here, so let's just place down some blocks and bomb to the stone, granting me the musket, which I can't use, but I needed it to unlock my next weapon. The other thing that I needed, though, was some homes. So I just decided to make some temporary housing, just some simple wood boxes. So I made a new, fresh set of assorted armor. Call it armor mixing. I then finished up a couple more houses, and with all their own I then finished up a couple more houses, all with their own disgusting decor, and that was the end of the day. The next day, I got a less than ideal message that the goblin army was arriving. Not only was I not there when it happened, but I only had a chain knife, and as the goblins closed in, I came back just in time. I was completely stuck inside my house when I had my first death. This was bad, because now I was outside, where I was killed again, and again, and again. Well, at least it's over. Oh yeah, daytime by the way. To clear my mind, I ran through the valley, waiting for the arms dealer to move in. I even hit up the jungle and got a cloud in a bottle, which was when he moved in. So with him here in the second layer of hell, I finally bought the flintlock pistol. And, well, it was a weapon that does decent damage and shoots straight. If it shoots straight and does damage, that's all you really need. First phase was pretty cut and dry, doing a couple jumps, run and gun, and the second wasn't much different, just running the opposite direction after every dash cycle. So really, I can't say this weapon was bad, but just remember I had to get the musket to even get this. Not exactly necessary. To the crafting stations I went, where I made the Magiluminescence so that maybe you lot will actually be able to tell what's going on. And it's just really good. It was then back to the mines, where I was just looking to find more health and platinum, which I very swiftly and efficiently did before having my skin torn off by a big bony worm, forcing me home, where I bought some illegal gun parts and made a grappling hook. All of this being in preparation for the desert, where I was only after a few things, some topaz and some mandibles. And after getting all of that, Turns out I needed 10, not 5. Back in the desert, killed some more bugs, topped off my health. So after almost having a bad day, I teleported home and crafted the sand gun, which I haven't used in a long time. I was honestly pretty excited to give it a shot, and I'm heading this way because our ammo of choice is going to be some ebon sand. And this sand has the ability to pierce, making it our best option for the Eater of Worlds. So here's the plan. Ebon sand is really powerful in the sand gun, dealing really good damage and infinitely piercing. However, as you probably know, when you fire the sand gun, wherever the sand hits, sand is placed there. We can combat this, however, by covering our arena with torches, which sand can't be placed on. So we're gonna make an overground arena covered in torches. The hope is that this will allow us to get some of the best damage in the game against this boss at this stage of the game without making a mess. Our actual first order of business was to set up a storage. Oh no. And here's the second problem. I needed more temporary housing, so please cover your eyes. Alright, you can open your eyes again. We're going to the corruption to execute our plan. And I'm sorry I don't have, like, a cool acronym or something for it, but I'll make it up to y'all. But we're here, so bombs away. Then after that, it was into the depths where I found nothing, really. But I was just interested in seeing how the damage was going to be, so I quickly summoned the Eater for a quick DPS check, and it was good. Really good. But it was very clear this weapon was definitely going to require some prep. So it was back to the corruption to construct our beautiful arena. This is really ugly. Which was very well thought out, which was really annoying to make with the Eaters on me every second. And for whatever reason, I was getting a crap ton of worms, even though I never do normally. But the platforms eventually were all down, so I began covering the whole thing with torches, and after that was done, I began to build up the walls to keep all the sand within the arena. I didn't make a ceiling though, since it wasn't really necessary. All my sand is leaving. And with it done, I'd say it's rather charming. And luckily, I had plenty of chunks built up, and there were plenty of mushrooms nearby, so I crafted a little area to make a bottle and make some worm food. And so the last order of business was just to clean up the bottle. So here we go. And just as planned, the sand gun was shredding. My arena was a bit poorly built, making it a bit hard to hit the boss sometimes, but when it did, it was amazing. Didn't matter though. With very little trouble, the Eater was dead. I then went around my arena and cleaned it up. Upon returning home, I made a nightmare pick and 2 pieces of shadow armor. I really didn't want to fight the Eater to get the third. I then spent a while trying to figure out where to put my bed, but when I finally figured that out, it was time to go back into the caverns. Mined some ore, ran the rails, standard stuff. I was looking for the bald-headed goblin man, and after a bit of shooting and looting, I found him tucked away in a glowing mushroom biome. I then went home to make him a home. I wasn't good on cash though, so I beat the eye and sold some junk to buy the rocket boots and a tinker's bench. Well, not yet. So while I waited, I crafted a watch. But eventually, I was able to buy all my crap and combine my accessories. Finally, I left that gloomy place to head to the corruption, where I replenished my ammo supply, because next on the chopping block is Skeletron. So upon finding the dungeon, I blew up a bit of the front to have some better clearance before beginning construction on the arena. The problem is that the old man was apparently mad that I was building on his property. I ignored this though and began to cover my platform with torches. Said the man. Apparently I was blocking his view of the stars, because he was blinded. Oops. I thought it would probably be important to take advantage of the situation, so I expanded my arena and even built up some massive walls on either side, no ceiling needed. Finally, I wanted to make a staircase that went up to the arena to avoid hits, and for once the old man seemed to be on my side. We were having fun climbing the stairs together. Aha! And just like that, he was in the optimal position. Who is that? There was some random passed out drunk man on my newly constructed building. So I woke him up, but he was pretty chill, so I'll let it pass. It was getting pretty dark by now, and the old man was starting to get pretty desperate. He was like banging on the walls and stuff, so I just told him like it is, you know? Like, hey buddy, shut the Alright, not exactly what I had in mind, but luckily even in this form he was pretty easy to take care of. He hadn't got any less terrible with his hand, and I'm sure he hadn't the slightest clue he was fighting a marathon medalist. Eventually his hands decayed and I was just left to fight the head, which was even easier. I was just going in circles around him, which seems to just disorient him even more, and then he was dead. Now, I did feel a little bad that I defiled this man's home and then bullied him to death, so I took one of his hands off and wore it over mine. You know, like a normal grieving person. This is when I discovered that this man actually had an entire underground dungeon full of dead people, kidnapped women, and wait, the skulls he was shooting. He eats kids! So I tried to keep my business in there quick, finding multiple things that I can't use, killing the the skeletons to harvest their bones so I can make a full set of armor that covers my whole body, since the glove really wasn't doing it for me. And I just thought I should honor those who have fallen in this dungeon by making some cool clothes. However, I forgot. So instead I went and recovered my ammo supply. With my gun full, I took the rest of my dynamite and began blowing a massive hole next to my home. You know, to make a hole to hell. And so the bombing began. And then, when there were no bombs left, I began digging, and digging, and digging, for quite a while, but eventually, despite the lava in my way, I found the bottom of the world, where I began looting shadow chests, not for the weapons, none of them are usable, but for the common items, like potions and whatnot, so here's that. After that was done, I took a little ride on this track I found. What was I looking for? I don't know, but I did in fact jump around it for a little while. Then went home and finally made my new set of armor, though it didn't feel as good as I was hoping it would, but What this did mean though was that it was showtime. We're taking the sand gun all the way. So I hopped down my elevator, which was really more of a dropper, except there's nothing at the end. And so I continued digging and digging and digging until I was here again. I continued my search for chests, raiding every home I found, which is when I found this little guy. He'll be sticking with us for a while. Here's the rest of what I found. Though none of it was what I was looking for, what I really wanted was a gravitation potion, which is what I've been looking for this whole time. I never cared about any of this hell loot. I never cared about this stupid little guy, but don't tell him. And after checking more caves, I went home. If the game wasn't going to give me the ability to fly, I was just going to have to take matters into my own hands. So with the scraps I had in my inventory, I began to tower up. When I reached the peak, it was time to take a leap of faith. Eventually I grabbed more blocks to simply make a stone bridge in the sky. So I climbed up and started building, but these stupid harpies wouldn't leave me alone. Then these slimes started attacking me, but it was fine. And with enough patience, I found some more islands and I got what I was looking for. Psych! Back to the sky. Now with towers and bridges on both sides of my home, but I did get the last thing I needed from the next island, so I was finally able to make some good equipment. So with that finally done, it was back to the underworld. And my plan here is just to use a water walking potion. I didn't really want to make an arena, so I made it to the end of the world and the guide was gone. Back at my home, I made a couple more temporary houses and then slept till the guide came. Back to hell. So now, fully prepared, I threw the doll into the lava, and it was going swimmingly. The wall was being destroyed, the damage was very solid, and even deep into the fight we were looking fantastic on health. No problems. Except, there was a problem, right here. Even though the wall was moments from death and I was looking good on health, I didn't make it through this wall in time. I had hit the houses too soon and not properly prepared for such a situation. So I was bashed into the wall, pulled through it, and shot. Yikes. Needless to say, I wasn't too happy about this since I had been playing the fight just fine just to be killed by some blocks, because blocks are OP. The solution seems simple though, just bomb the houses to give me enough time and then it would all be done. So that's what I did. I went through and carpet bombed the land to make sure I had some more space. Sure, it was a little messy, but that probably won't matter. And so we began attempt 2. And again, everything was going great. In fact, I was doing even more damage than last time. It looked as if we were going to beat the wall before we ever even reached the house that I bombed. But there was a problem. When I quick buffed before I started the fight, my water walking potion was not refreshed. So a minute into the fight... Ouch. Luckily though, upon fixing these issues, making sure my water walking potion was refreshed, and the houses were bombed, I began the fight. And though this leech almost got me killed when I dashed into it twice, the wall was dead. And since I'm on the switch, this puts us into the great lagging for a bit, but that's fine. Really, once I bombed the homes, made sure to refresh my potion, this was not very difficult. The Sand Gun actually put in the work, performing really well during that fight. So, we are done with Pre-Hard mode, which is where we're ending for now. Part 2 is already recorded, so it probably won't be too long till it comes out, so keep your eyes out for it. Until then, go outside.